great thing about writing science fiction is that it's basically like writing everything in history that interests you. You can take from anything, because every piece of history is a piece of human nature.
In certain older, civilized cultures, when men failed as entirely as you have, they would throw themselves on their swords.
Well, unfortunately, I forgot to bring a sword.
It's season 3 of Buffy. I get my 2-week vacation, and the second book I read is The Killer Angels, which is about the Battle of Gettysburg. And right after that, I sort of become obsessed with the idea of life in the frontier, and that, of course, makes me think of the Millennium Falcon, because most things do.
Does George Lucas need a photo of that?
I just wanted to tell a story about people who were living in space, but not living in grandeur and not living in great portent, but who are more the fringe people.
Every man there go back inside, or we will blow a new crater in this little moon.
People that the Enterprise would have just blown right past and never noticed.
Here we are 500 years in the future, and we've used up the Earth.
Earth that was could no longer sustain our numbers, we were so many.
Where once we had new countries to explore, we have new planets. We've terraformed them all to be useful for human life, and it's a vision of the world more or less as it is today.
The one thing I did that I thought was a little utopian was the idea that since America and China are the 2 greatest superpowers on the planet, that once we went out forward and created new planets, that they had merged into the beginnings of the alliance. And that is why everybody who's American speaks Chinese.
Bye, toi, and Jingitian.
That these 2 cultures actually settle their differences and become, one great superpower feels very, very real, because that's what's going on right now. Powers, companies are merging into more and more powerful conglomerates.
And now everyone can enjoy the comfort and enlightenment of true civilization.
As the more advanced cultures become more homogenized and spread out into the other worlds where life is tougher and where people are more diverse, there's conflict.
The savage outer planets were not so enlightened and refused alliance control.
I was dealing with the idea of a civil war and the idea of rebuilding and people who had lost the war. This is something that's, a big part of American fiction.
Y'all the brown coats, eh? Fought for independence?
War's long done. All just folk now.
There's very little American fiction about the people who won the war, about the North, the people we all like to be identified with. We're all interested in the South because they lost, and we love losers.
He isn't a plucky hero. The Alliance isn't some evil empire. This is not the Grand Arena.
We love a sense of loss in American fiction, and even though Mal wasn't fighting for slavery, I'm happy to say, he is someone who fought at a time when he was just crushed by the opposing force, and it changed him.
In the time of war, we would have never left a man stranded.
Maybe that's why we lost.
The forming of the Alliance causes a power so great that there's no way it can justly rule over the entire universe. And so I'm dealing with the people on the fringes who are going, you don't belong here, you don't belong on our soil. Yes, you guys are progressive, you've got great medicine, incredible healthcare plan, you've got freedom of religion, you've got all these great things, and we don't have that stuff. And some of our customs are arcane, and some of them are maybe a little barbaric, but we have a right to be ourselves.
These are just a few of the images we've recorded. And you can see, it isn't what we thought.
And that's where the utopian vision stops, because whenever you create some kind of utopia, you find something ugly working underneath it. And that's basically what this movie is about.
Somebody has to speak for these people. Y'all got on this boat for different reasons, but y'all come to the same place. So no more running.